Hey folks, good evening and welcome to the show. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you can hear me. I hope the sound's in tune. Brian has been changing settings again, so if the sound's out of sync, please do let me know. But I'm very, very happy to see you all. I can see Pilot, he was first today. Good evening, Pilot. Thank you very much for joining. Anarchy, I am Karcher, Alchemist, Meister Grinseppo, I'll say it right, just for once, just for you. We've also got Tronics, Widgetalis as well, great. Loud and clear, all in sync, excellent. I did do a test recording. Normally I forget to do it, but I try and remember to do a test recording of the stream setup before I go live. Today I remembered to do that. So yeah, that's what we went with. I do apologise for all the mess in the background. You can see a ton of boxes here. This is all of the JO1s ready to ship out. I've just got to wait for some slightly larger boxes to come because these ones aren't really thick enough. So I'm just waiting for some extra boxes to come, put them inside the extra boxes, tape it all up, and those are all going to get shipped out this week. So my office is kind of cramped at the minute. The good news is I have more desk space this side. You guys can't see it, but just off the side here, this is where all of the JO1s were stacked up whilst I was putting them together and testing plates and fitment and PCBs and everything out. And that's all largely gone now. So that's really good. I can spread out when I'm doing my build streams and stuff, and have all my tools just to one side now instead of dotted all over. So that's really good. Looking and sounding good. Thank you very much, Grin. I appreciate that. I've got a little bit of headache, so I may have to turn music off later off because I like to listen to music while I'm streaming. But if I need to turn that off because I've got a touch of headache, we'll do that later on. Guy Flawks as well. That's a great username. I like that. Tuxkey as well. Good evening and welcome to the show, guys. Today we are going to be building an E6.5. If you use the build with an exclamation mark at the front command, you will be able to see some more details around exactly what I'm going to be building, and we will go through it in a minute. I haven't unboxed this board yet. I haven't tested it. I haven't done anything. So you guys are going to see exactly what I see in the box as I open it, which is going to be really fun, really interesting, and really exciting. There you go. Everyone's using the build command now. There we go. Perfect, guys. So I'll talk through the switches. I'll talk through the board as we open it. We'll wait for the bot to ping. I don't think that's pinged yet before we actually start the show fully. And then we'll crack on with the build directly. So if you guys have got any questions, if you guys have got any thoughts, any comments, then please do let me know. Today's stream, as well as our lovely sponsors that you can see at this side of the screen, we also have My Keyboard, who were kind enough to provide the switches just on this side of the screen here. They were kind enough to provide the switches to this build, so big shout out to My Keyboard. Thank you very much for that, Yulia and David, who run the store. That's Necroman and Necro1. Really big shout out to them. If you guys are in the market for anything in the EU, please do check out their store there first, because they are such good people and they will really take care of you and look after you. Clevia says, Top Clack, I just saw you went live and rushed from my Airbnb to nearby Burger King, watching Top Clack with a Whopper in my hand, stealing Wi-Fi to watch this video. Perfect. That is what I like to see. Someone who has got a nice meaty burger and is wanting to share with the show as well. So thank you very much for that. Pilot XJ subscribed at tier 1 as well for 7 months, 7-month streak. Thank you very much, fam. Really appreciate that. And Gio as well. There it is. There's a 2-year one. I thought you were saving that for the show next week, Gio, but thank you very much for doing it on this stream. Tier 3 for 2 years. Gio, one of our OG subscribers. I think he was number 2 or number 3. So congrats, Gio, on that. That's really good to see. And I've got your JO1 just here. Now you've paid for the shipping, and we'll get that out to you this week. I do apologise for the mess, but there you go, Gio. One of them boxes there is yours. I'm not quite sure which one, but one of them is yours. Epic stream tie. So someone dared me to do that. I'm not going to say who because I promised I wouldn't, but someone dared me to put that in the stream title. Yeah, because when you consider the cost of the switches, the board, and the keycaps that we're going to put in there, it is about that kind of price. So irrespective of any other costs as they are, that's pretty much where we're going to be. Was last week was in San Francisco. Right, okay, Gio. I thought you were going to save it for the stream this week coming. I thought you were going to save it for the news show, but I'm glad you did it here. That's really nice. Thank you, dude. Secret Tixie, will you be getting an Iron 165 prototype to build? I would love to. Maybe. Don't know. We'll see. We will see. Purple chat peeps should look at pins. It's taken over my life. Is this the Minecraft server? We now have a top Clack Minecraft server going for subs. So it's in Purple chat, which is a hidden channel unless you're a subscriber. But there's a Minecraft server going on there. Oh, and I can see that the bot has finally pinged as well. Sorry, I'm just looking at the title. I can't believe that I actually did that. Someone dared me to put it up and say that is this the $700 board? Tfue should, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Tfue, is that right? I'm not sure. Tfue, I'm going to go with that. Is it the board that he should have built for that kind of money? But we'll see what you guys think. And there's a Sierra D with the 1,000 bits. Thank you very much. Really appreciate those, and that's been shared to 25 others in chat. So thank you very much for that. That's really nice. Aquaticape as well. So has joined the chat. Thank you very much. And Glow M, Savage. Yeah. We try and be savage. Not really. It's just a joke. Llama Farmer says, I'm a sub but can't use Discords. Could someone PM me the IP? Llama Farmer, if you whisper me after the chat, or if you speak to Geo, I'm sure he will sort you out with the details for that. That shouldn't be a problem at all. You're more than welcome to join our Minecraft Discord server, I'm sure. So yeah. Who else have we got in chat? I see Anarchy's saying thanks for the gift. Oh, from the 1,000 bits. Yeah, thank you, Sarah D. That's really nice. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly there. Yeah, we need the account name to whitelist. Okay, there you go. You guys can sort that out and get in the top Clack server. So as I say, we are building the E6.5. I haven't looked at this board yet. I haven't even unboxed it. I've taken it out. There's like a sleeve, and I've taken it out and I've lifted the lid, and that's as far as I've got. I haven't lifted up any of the papers inside. I haven't unboxed the board. I haven't taken it out of any wrappings or bubble wrap or whatever else is in there. It is literally as it came from exclusive, so I'm really interested to see what it's like and share my excitement with you guys. Let's see it. I'm excited. I might be getting one. You might be getting an E6.5. Well, to be honest, I'm really excited to see what this board is like for a couple of different reasons. Firstly, because it offers two mount types. You can either have it top mount or you can have it gasket mount. We're going to be building it with the gasket mount today, assuming everything's as it should be. And for that, we do need to use clip-in stabs instead of screw-in stabs. Normally, on 90% of my builds, I'll use screw-in stabs. Today, we are going to be using clip-in stabs purely because the screw-in ones do interfere slightly with the gasket, from what I've heard. So we are going to be using clip-in stabs today, which will be GMK ones. Sierra D says they're pretty late in the group, so they don't expect to receive theirs for a few more weeks. Yes, so I was actually in batch 2, but because someone didn't sort their payment out in batch 1, Exclusive got me to ship at the same time as batch 1, or right at the very end of batch 1. So mine came 2 days ago, I think it was. Wait, what day are we on? I think it came Thursday, and we're now on Sunday, so 3 days ago. 3 days ago. That one, Oscar says, which colour did I get? I got a polycarbonate one, so this is just the standard polycarbonate as far as I'm aware. I didn't choose anything else. I did ask, I think I put on my form for Exclusive to recommend me a font for the name tags. I went with one with J and one with Top Clack. I think I got a blank one as well. I might have done, I can't recall. We'll see what's in there when I open it up anyway. So I'm not sure if that's standard font or if he's chosen something a little bit different, but it's sometimes nice to just let the creators pick and choose what they think are the best options. Just given the fact that I get so many different boards and buy so many different things, it's just easier sometimes to let other people make choices and decisions for us, and that way I get to try more new things instead of just trying the same thing all the time. So it should be just normal polycarbonate. J420 didn't get one. Sad times, man. Sad times. But you know, there'll be more on the aftermarket soon, I'm sure, and we'll have a look at that. I'm getting pings on Discord left, right and centre here. Sorry about this, guys. There we go. Try and answer those. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so without much further ado, let me show you what we're building today. So the first thing I'll show you guys is the switches. These are standard inks. I have changed these to 78 gram Sprit springs. I know not everyone's a fan of Sprit, but that's what these ones have now got in them. The springs are lubed with Krytox 104. The stems themselves are lubed with Krytox 205 grade 0. I didn't put any lube on the housings purely because I think when you use 205 grade 0, it's that thick that it'll transfer from the stem to the housing wherever there's any contact points anyway. So that's the way I've built these. That one's got a bit of fluff on it. Don't worry about that. The other thing I'd like to say about these as well is they were donated by mykeyboard.eu, as you can see down here. Those guys are great. They've done loads for me, and you know, they're massive contributors to the community. So if you do want to check anything out in the EU, please do check out mykeyboard.eu, because they are really good folks. So these are the switches. Fluff everywhere on these. That's what comes of living with a dog, sadly. The dog's not in the office, I don't think. No, she's not in a chair. Yeah, so that's the switches we're going to be using today. In terms of stabilizers, as I said, we will be using just the standard GMK clip-in stabilizers. These do need clipping and lubing. That hasn't been done as yet, but I am going to be trying a new lubing method for these that someone else recommended to me quite recently. So we'll see how that goes as well, which should mean that I don't need to disassemble them. May not work, may do. I'll give my comments on that at the end of the stream once we've managed to try it out a little bit as well. Okay, that's the stabilizer we'll be using. I'll leave the keycap set till the end, see if you guys can guess what keycap set we're going to be using. If anyone gets it right, I'll send you some stickers, so have some guesses in chat around what key set you think we're putting on this board. If anyone does get it right, I will send you some stickers and maybe a top Clack cap if I've got one. I'll see, but there you go, have some guesses. It's not minimal, no, sorry, but keep going, guys. Top Clack, do you always use switch films or not worth it? I only use switch films if I'm going to be using SA keycaps, because that's where I find most wobble. I tend not to put switch films on many other things. Sometimes on pandas I'll do them because they can be quite loose after you've opened them and put them back together. So there we go. It's not Hyperfuse, it's not Bento, it's not Royal Alpha, it's not Shoko. Like Night Runner hasn't shipped yet. It's not Olivia. No one's got it yet. Okay, well, keep guessing, guys. There's a cap, Top Clack cap, and some stickers on that one as well. Here you go. This is what you could be winning. Look at this, some nice stickers, Top Clack stickers. There you go. Serica, Striker, no. Tahoe Sunshine, no. Hamon, no. I'll give you a clue. This artisan is going to go on it. Ready. Ta-da! There you go. See if you can guess from that. Okay, so while you guys are guessing, this is the board. This is the packaging it comes with. Durza gets it. Honeywell is correct. So Durza was the first one to say it, I think. Let me just double check. Yeah, Durza, Honeywell, spot on. Aquatic Cape as well. You got it, but you were just a touch too slow. Vovs as well. Yeah. Sorry guys, yeah. Durza, if you PM me on Discord, send me your full name and address. I'll send some stickers and a keycap out to you in the next week or so, and I'll let you know when that's on the way. But there you go. But well done, Durza. There you go. So that's the keycap set we're going to use on it. It's GMK as well, not the SA version. So this is how the box comes. You may have seen my teaser for this on Instagram. So I did post up there this morning, I think. It's 8 PM. It's getting dark outside now. You can't see it, but it is getting dark outside for me now. This is how the board comes in a nice banderole, as you can see. Keyboards for enthusiasts. Interesting. So this is how it comes. Exclusives, kind of wavy badge logo there, a little bit abstract. You slide off the banderole, if I can get hold of it. Oops. And this is the box that you get. So it's got the exclusive logo, the 65% layout that this board supports with the blocker just here. It does say E6.5 there. I'm not sure if you can see it with the reflection, but it does say E6.5, and then there's kind of like some designs around that, and then this is very reminiscent of the Zambamon kind of logo, but it's slightly different, but it's this whole tessellation pattern that's really nice across there. In terms of on the side, you get the same on both sides. It's the exclusive logo and just the banding carries on. Banding carries on around there, and then you can see there as well, and the base is blank. So there we go. So that's the box, which is quite nice. I've got to admit, the packaging is quite nice in this, right? It's a good set of packaging. Man, I'm thirsty. It's really warm here today, so I apologise for the noise of the fan on in the background. The exclusive should run another TKL next. Maybe, we'll see. So, inside the box, what have we got? And this is as far as I've got. I've not taken any further from this at any point. So we do have some stickers, which are quite nice. Stickers with the exclusive logo in various different colourways, different patterns, and different things. There you go. Oh, a little thank you note on the back. Didn't see that before. There you go, guys. Little thank you That's really nice and sweet. Some little stickers to use. I'll probably put some of these on my MacBook that's covered in key stickers. But they're really nice. Really nice. It's a good little touch. Then we have some standard neoprene foam. And then under here we've got a PCB. So first things first, yellow PCB. This is very reminiscent of the PCB we had for the Prophet, which was this kind of yellow finish as well. Exclusive logo there. ANSI ISO layout, 65% split backspace, split left shift, a couple of different options for the bottom row. All looks fairly standard there, standard stagger, etc. So a good looking PCB, I'm sure you'll admit. Flipping it over, we've got the side underglow LEDs on the sides just here, none through the middle, which is unusual, but clearly a conscious choice. Reset button down here in the bottom, the MCU just there, driver for the LEDs just here as well, and again the exclusive badge. Nice little amount of space there. Could probably put somewhere in there. This is really rather neat though. I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but the routing all coming into this point is really kind of nice and neat and tidy. I like that a lot. I'm not sure how well it's going to show up on stream. I hope you guys can see that. Yeah, that looks really, really nice. So that's the PCB. So just catch up with chat, see what we're talking about. Packaging on point as part actually. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's really nice packaging. Very impressive. Exclusive should run another TKL next. I think that's the plan. Those are confirming it is. Soren says hi as well. Soren, good to see you, man. Good to see you. George here as well. Got here. Hey Jay. Hey man, good to see you. Hopefully it will be better than the E8. Maybe, we'll see. Acidic Pure says nice to finally catch stream. But it's nice to have you, man. Nice to have you. MacBook. Yeah, well I have to use a MacBook for certain things with work, so you know, it's one of those things. One of those things. How do you judge the quality of the PCB in general? There's a couple of different things that you can look for in a PCB. One, you know, no failures, which is kind of something you'll learn within the community over time. If people are having PCBs that fail left, right and centre, the Canoe at one point had a PCB that failed quite significantly in a large number. The rest is basically just aesthetics and features. So this is VIA compatible, which I haven't installed the latest version, so I will need to do that towards the end of the stream to program this, which means that you can flash it on the fly. You don't need to do your standard QMK, set up your key map and then flash it by resetting the board and using QMK toolbox and all that. With VIA, that's all gone. It's nice and easy to just flash the board on the fly. You change the key in VIA and it changes it straight away on the PCB. So that's one thing. And then the rest of it's just aesthetics for me. What layouts does it support and what aesthetics is it? A lot of people like it when it only supports very fixed layouts, so it's not got multiple options. Like here you can see there's 2 switch points in the same cluster. If it just offers one of those, it does much cleaner. If you've got, you know, spots like this all over the board, you don't have anything else. A lot of people don't like to have ISO ANSI on here. I personally don't think it makes a difference. I think what you should do is include both options on the PCB and then let people choose by making their own plates and make the plate files available. That's just my personal thought on the matter. So that's pretty much it. USB-C as well, which is always good to see. I'm glad that we're moving towards USB-C and away from USB Mini and Micro. It's always a nice, pleasant experience in the community. PCB is slightly bent, but I think that's just a case of how it's come from the factory rather than anything else, and it'll straighten up when we put the switches and the keycaps in. So there we go, all looking good on the PCB front. Yagbat, subscribe with Twitch Prime, subscribe for 5 months. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that, dude. Soren, it's been a while. Oh, don't be like that. It has been a while. I haven't seen you for ages, but I'm glad that you're here. George says no, ISO must die. Hey now, we're not ISO haters. We're not any layout haters. You guys use whatever layout you want, and if you enjoy it, I'm happy for you. Mrs. Petrov's here saying, my husband says you're the poshest keyboard streamer. Mrs. Petrov, if that's really you and not Mr. Petrov making fun of me, then welcome to the show. It's nice to meet you. Mr. Petrov talks about you a lot. He's a very good husband, or he certainly appears to be from our end. So I hope he treats you as well in real life as he tells us he does on Discord. Singapore says, sup Jay. Singapore, glad to see you, man. Drake Class is saying, haha, Petrov as well. If it is you, Petrov, stop being a douche and just come back on your normal account. But I've got to play it safe, just in case. Just in case. Yeah, I've got a cover for him, right? Because otherwise he's putting me on the spot here. I could, if that really is Mrs. Petrov, I could sell him out in a second, but I wouldn't because I'm too nice a guy to do that. The other thing I could do is hit on her as well, but that's not my style, not on stream. Don't want to hit Twitch terms of service at 10 minutes into the stream. Tell her how the board was $59. No, all of the boards. Mr. Petrov actually nearly considered spending $5,000 on a board the other day. We almost had a bit of a deal going on that one, so I hope she doesn't know about that. Not on stream anyway. Yeah, not on stream. Okay, guys. So let's take it a little bit further. Let's get rid of the next layer of foam and see what else we've got in here. Okay, so first thing I noticed, this is the gasket. So this is going to be the O-ring that goes around the PCB, go around the edges of the PCB, and this is what the board will rest on when we're typing. Some bump-ons for underneath the board. Pretty standard fare in the community these days. Oh, badges. We'll look at those later on when we actually get around to putting the keyboard together. I'll put them to one side. Clearly I went for one in red, and the wrapped one's probably because it's raw brass. But we'll look at those later. We'll open them in a bit. Some more screws. I assume that's if you want to go top mount on the board rather than using the gasket, so we shouldn't need those today. Some gloves, because why not? For handling those raw brass parts. Probably not going to use these. I like brass to get patina, so hopefully that'll be fine. Cool touch with the gloves. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's nice. Straight classy. No. Divorce incoming. Mr. Petrov, I hope that really was your wife, because it would be really nice that you got her included in the the community in the shows, and I would love to say hi to her at some point in reality, so I hope it was. Like says, really nice touch with the gloves, yeah, and so does theirs. I agree, it is really nice. Probably not going to use them though. Singapore is also excited that it comes with gloves. Okay, so first things first, that's really light. So this is the board itself. You can just barely see the logo through there, so we'll take a look at that in a second. Let me just move the box out of the way. There we go. Okay. So packaging boards just the way I like. I like it when they put them in these bags. You never know what's going to happen to a box, whether it's going to get wet or otherwise. So protecting stuff is always a good idea. I've wrapped all the J1 boards I'm just about to ship in this kind of plastic bag as well. Okay. So there you go, you can see it's nicely wrapped up. Very light board, very, very light board. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Not a bad thing. All looking good from here. Let's undo this tape and take it apart slowly. There we go. Tape's very sticky. See if we can unwrap it. Probably not. We're going to have to probably tear this a little bit. There we go, guys. You can see us get into here. There we go, guys. So it already comes with one of the badges installed. Japanese horror writer with the 1000 bits. Thank you very much. So there's the board, guys. Just while we're taking a look at it, I'm just going to try and answer Mac 19's question. Let's have a look at this. So you guys can look at this while I speak to Mac. Hey experts, I want to buy a mechanical keyboard which is 60% an ANSI. I would also like to customize it with Tfue keycaps. I wanted a keyboard without compatibility or size issues with those keycaps. I'm new to this community and need help. So Mac, first thing question I'm going to ask you is how much do you have to spend? Because there is so many different things you can look at different tiers across the range. You can spend $1,000 or you can spend $100. Either way, we'll be able to find something that fits your budget and the style and things that you're looking for. If you let us know how much you want to spend, we'll try and answer that question in a little bit more detail. You can also join on our Discord below, and the guys there will also be willing to help you out. And once I finish streaming, if no one else helped you out by then, I will certainly try and point you in the right direction of a good ANSI 60% board. Thank you very much again for the 1000 bits, Japanese horror writer. It's great to have you on the show, man. So thank you very much for being there. Kyle UK, good evening, good sir. Hue as well, Faza, good evening, folks. Lots of people I didn't see post before are there as well, so thank you very much for that, guys. Melody, wait, how is the Polycarb E6.5 worth $700? When you consider that it's got about $100 worth of switches, it's also got GMK Honeywell going on there. The whole board is pretty much about $700 in terms of what I've spent looking at current price of things. So you know, it's broadly there, and it was a bit of a meme. Someone asked me to post it on the thing, so I won't tell you who it was because they made me swear I wouldn't say. But yeah, suffice it to say, it's just a joke, just a joke. If you mean tie-how rubber keycaps, we can't help. Well, no, some tie-how caps are good. They do some double shot ABS, double shot PBT, which isn't true double shot, but or not double shot PBT. It's outer PBT and the inside is POM, but they do offer double shot caps. How much is an E6.5 worth now aftermarket? I think I spent about $400 on this, and then the switches, lubes, and everything else is probably about $100, and then the keycap set, GMK Honeywell, probably goes for about $250 at the minute. So it's broadly about that. Plus, if I chuck an artisan on there, that's another $100 and stuff. You know, so it's just a bit of a joke on the price. And Pro is pretty good beginner if you're looking for a decent pre-built. It'll also fit all sets too. It's exactly true. Yeah. I try not to consider that because then all my keyboards are too expensive. That's very fair, Melody. That's very fair. I could look at some of the other boards. So this prototype of the JR1 probably cost me about $1,200 all in. So I try not to think about it too much. Kajahata is gifting one tier 1 sub, not selling, gifting one tier 1 sub to Top Class community, and that went to Soran. So thank you very much for that. There you go. That's awesome. Great work, guys. If you only think of those isolated parts, it doesn't seem as outrageous. That's very true. I'm going to tell my wife when I order the Iron 165 FE that it was whatever the cost of the plate is, not what the cost of the board is. It's not exactly lying, it's just being a little bit... I'm watching the door now because I'm expecting her to listen out, so it's just one of those things. So there we go. So let's have a look at the board then, guys. So first things first, you can see that it's got the top Clack logo already installed. I think that's the default font. We may change that. We'll have a look at the other badges in just a second. You can see that I've gone for the PC plate. It's kind of flexible. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It is universal, but it does have these nice acoustic cutouts in places. Universal bottom row, split left shift, stepped or non-step caps. Probably going to go with stepped. That all looks really rather nice from this perspective. Looking on the top, you can see that the USB is center mount, as we saw on the PCB. That's a nice tight gap. The badge fits really nice and flush. I'm really impressed with how flush that fits, especially considering the challenge I had with my E6.5 build a couple of years ago on the stream. You can also see just inside the E6.5 logo, the exclusives logo. We're hoping you guys can see that if I flash it in the light. That is on the inside of the weight. Turning the board over, you can see that it's matte black with that nice red inside as well. So I couldn't remember what colour I'd gone for. I thought I'd gone for brass. Clearly I went for red. So there we go. So that's the board. The seam between the top and the bottom do go through the USB opening. Yes, that's correct. This is not a seamless design. There is a seam down the centre of the board. One thing I will say is that this polycarbonate is really smooth compared to other polycarbonates that I've felt in the past. They usually feel kind of rough, especially on certain edges. This feels very smooth all the way around, so I'm very impressed with that. It does feel really nice. One of the other things you can see is just on the inside, you can see the horizontal lines. If I get the light just right, you can see these horizontal lines. That's the path that the drill bit took, or the mill bit took, sorry, to basically mill the inside of the board out. So we'll take a look at that in a bit more detail when we open the board up as well. But I do like little details like that when they're hidden inside. Okay, so I think that all looks really good. Let's take a look at the other badges. Let me remind myself what I ordered. Nice match for Honeywell. Yeah. I do like that. Mac19 came back. Thanks for answering me and being so nice. I forgot something. If possible, I want a hot swappable keyboard. From what I've read, correct me if I'm wrong, it means I can switch switches and keycaps with that in soldering. Price range, it can go up to around $200. Yeah, so the first thing to note there is that, yes, so hot swap will allow you to change the switches. Keycaps are hot swappable anyway. You'll see later on when we put keycaps on here that it's really easy to put keycaps on and take them off, as long as you're using an MX style board. In terms of the switches, though, a hot swap board will allow you to insert and pull out the switches at will, and it will carry on working. Wouldn't do it while the power's in. Make sure you're not plugged in while you're doing it, but yes, you can absolutely do that as well. There's some really, really good options on the KBD Fans site at that kind of price range if you are interested. You can get ANSI PCBs in separate cases, so you can look at a simple tray mount, which is where the PCB screws to the bottom and it's quite a firm typing feel, or you may even just about be able to look at a KBD 67, which is this kind of layout. In fact, I have one just here. So this is my personal KBD 67. You won't get it with the carbon fibre plate. This is something I had custom made afterwards, and you won't get it in this colour because this is a one-off. This is the only one in this colour. But you would be able to have a look at getting this case potentially for just about your budget, including a PCB that's hot swap and ANSI. This one's ISO, but you would be able to do that. So standard 65%, so you've got your standard cluster here, you've got your enter, and you do have an extra column here. If you do want 60%, you probably have to look at something different like the Tfue or otherwise, but it has got a nice brass weight on the base as well, which is more of an accent piece. So yeah, always worthwhile looking at. The other thing as well is that KBD 67 is going to be redone soon, so there's going to be a version 2 of that out very shortly, which has been remodeled by AIO3. So I hope that's good. Let's catch up with chat. Mackie, if you've got any more questions, please do let us know. Is the top Clack badge something you could order at Group Buy, like a custom badge text, or is it some special build for you guys? So what you could do is you could actually, when you bought the badge, you could actually have different things put on them. So I have my name put on this one, which is J. I hope you can see that if it'll focus. There you go. So I had J put on one. I do remember asking for that specifically, and you could basically choose the text. You could have anything else. On my E6.5, I copied a good friend of mine who now lives in Japan called Ken, but I have Make It So on my E6.2, which is a line from Battlestar Galactica. So you could pick and choose what you had there. This one I don't remember ordering, so let's take a look and see what this one is. I'm assuming that this one's brass because it's wrapped up individually. So there we go. Oh, there you go. So this is a standard badge. So this is a brass one, and it says E6.5 by exclusive. That's really, really nice brass PVD there. So there you go. These do fit in just by 2 screw holes as well on the base, so they come up through the polycarbonate and into there as well. So there we go. I'll leave the badges to one side for now. I am probably going to change over to the J one rather than the top Clack one as part of the build. And we'll see what that looks like when we get there. Let's catch up with chat. Melodette saying, bit of an off-topic question as well, but where did you source the gaskets for prototyping, etc. on the J01? J01, not JR1. Someone floated the idea of replacing the rather skip gaskets. I assume you meant something else by skip. Gaskets on the Leaf 60 with softer ones, and I don't know where to start. So there's many different materials. I tried about 40 for this, which reminds me, I owe Darth if he's watching a spreadsheet. But you can try different materials and different things. I had these laser cut by a good friend of mine, the Beep Haha, who's on the Top Clack Discord server. And this is nitrile rubber that I chose. Now you can pick all sorts of different materials, from everything from asbestos, which is used for some gaskets, all the way through to much softer materials like denim and cottons and things like that. You can go absolutely crazy with what you want to look at. Most people seem to feature somewhere in the cork, somewhere in the rubber, somewhere in the nitrile. Neoprene is also a good option, and there's kind of different brand names for stuff like that as well that you'll kind of see banded around. So most people tend to look at that. Basically, you just need to pick a material, come up with a design file, and then find someone who can stamp or cut it from that material for you. If you, on the Leaf, I think it's just long strips and sticky on one side. You could probably just buy a sheet of nitrile rubber off of eBay at 1.5mm. You could just get an X-Acto knife and cut that with a ruler to size and shape, and then you could just get some spray adhesive on one side and place it back onto wherever it needs to be. So that's probably one of the easy ways to do it. Anything that needs proper manufacturing is probably going to cost too much for a one-off, and is probably not sustainable unless you're doing 20, 30, 50 of those. Speaking of hot swap, I was wondering the other day why so many hot swaps PCBs are split backspace. I think that's just choice. J420, you got a badge for me. My name's J2, so we'll go with my name, not yours. Oh cool, that's a pretty niche feature of Group Buy. I haven't seen anything like that before. Yeah, a couple of exclusive boards have done that in the past. The brass is nice. The brass is really good, yeah. Definitely an endgame board. Oh, you didn't get the weird left blocker version? No, Dixie, I didn't. I was sensible. I got the normal blocker version as well. So there we go. Asbestos, yeah, so you can get asbestos in pre-cut sheets. That's completely fine to use. It's still a legal substance for so many things, and it's actually bound in a resin. It's a little bit like a carbon fiber. They use asbestos stuff for it. Not carbon fiber. What am I thinking of? Plastic fiber, not carbon fiber, but the words just completely escaped me. Fiberglass, that's it. So instead of using the standard fibers in fiberglass, which are made from a certain type of glass compound, you can have asbestos put in there. It's completely safe, completely normal. Asbestos is only really dangerous if it's the really old type that's really dusty and easy to fall apart and break apart and not bound in anything. So yeah, there's things that you can look like that. That's perfect, thanks. No worries, thank you very much. Fiberglass, yeah, you got there. Kevlar, yeah, Kevlar is another option. Yeah, it's very similar. I don't think you can. I wouldn't want to use Kevlar as a gasket material. It's very coarse, very rough. If you ever get to feel it, so I wouldn't want to use it for that. Weird left blocker is the way to go. No regrets. Fair enough, man. I am interested to see a picture of a board with that weird left blocker. I haven't seen one yet. Top Clack, or is your name Jay? Well, okay, so everyone knows that my real name is Jonathan Anthony Edward, and then my surname as well, which is Flynn. But my initials are JAE, and everyone in real life, from my wife to my mother and father-in-law to everyone apart from my mother, bless her soul, calls me Jay. That's just the way it is. People call me Jay in real life. My mother called me by my full name, Jonathan, and at work I'm known as Jay as well, and everything else. So there we go. Everyone just forgets the F, Tfue. So there you go. So there you go. But I've been known for that known as Jay by my friends for 30 years now, so there you go. So fake Jay, unless you are older than me, then there you go. Jonathan, not Fon. Interestingly, it is spelled all O's as well as Jonathan. It's spelled JONOTHON, so there you go. It's exclamation mark build, JCreps, not keyboard, exclamation mark build. So there we go, guys. That is the E6.5. It's probably time for us to take this board apart and have a little look at it. Probably going to need my Allen keys for this one. And the reason I'm using this rather than my screwdriver set is just because of the depth of these. We're going to go really careful with these because I'm not sure if they've got threaded inserts or not, or if it's just into the polycarbonate. We'll have a look at that in a second. We are going to go very gently with these. Curious of the one you're using. So this one is an E6.5. That one there is the J01, which is my personal custom design board. But this is the E6.5 that we're building today from Exclusive. What are your guys' opinions on cheap, compact, hot swappable keyboards like the Monkey King GK61 or the Die Fetish GK61? So I think the GK61, if I remember from memory, it actually has an offset 0. So the last alpha row, your ZX row, that's slightly offset. It's not got the correct stagger on those boards, if I'm remembering correctly. Nebula, so what's the deal with the stabs needed for this? So for this particular board, you can't use screw and stabs because it does mess up with the gasket if you go in gasket mount. You can choose to go top mount and use screw and stabs, or you can use the standard clip-in stabs from Cherry and go with the gasket mount solution. Okay. So going very, very careful with these screws. I don't want to strip the polycarbonate, which can be an issue on some screw threads in polycarbonate because it's a soft plastic and using metal screws. Sometimes it can be quite easy to damage the polycarbonate, so I'm going quite carefully and slow with this. So I apologise if it's not my usual breakneck pace. Does it use the same gasket solution as the Unicorn? Yes and no. So it uses a gasket around the outside like the Unicorn does, but it doesn't secure the plate in the same way. The plate's actually secured by pressure from the top of the case, rather than using a tray mount solution for the PCB and plate. Is that for all stamps or just space? It's just for the space bar, as far as I'm aware. I wonder if the design concerns combining gasket mount with polycarbonate case. I wouldn't say design concerns. There we go. Where did that go? Where did that go? Oh, it's right by my feet. Apologies, guys. There we go. Okay, so this is the inside of the board, guys. As I mentioned before, you can now see these nice tool paths nice and clearly. A little bit dusty, actually, isn't it? Probably not been had the compressed air blow across it, so you can kind of see where the tools move different paths and gone from layer to layer as it's kind of done a loop on the inside. That is really nice to see. On a lot of aluminium boards you wouldn't see it because it'd be anodized and that's kind of gone by that point, but it is kind of nice to see it. And you can now see this exclusive logo in the center as well. So that one screw in the middle holds the red part in place, these two screws hold the black part in place. So that all looks really good, nice and neat and tidy there. So there we go. Looking at the top part of the case, you can see that it's currently top mounted. Is a plate. So we are going to remove that and take those out. Just going to remove these screws. Take the plate out again, being very gentle, very delicate, making sure we're not damaging the polycarbonate. Again, if you are tightening screws into this, you want to just go finger tight, you don't want to go any tighter. If you've got an aluminium version, you can apply a lot more torque and screw it a lot more firmly. Slightly dusty inside the board. Could have done with just a quick blast from the air compressor whenever they were machining these. Okay, there we go. We can take the plate out. There we go. So as you can see, the plate is really rather flexible. It's smooth on one side, which is kind of interesting, and it's kind of got this rough feel on the other side. It's probably a slightly thicker material, and they've milled it flat and then done the cutouts. I would expect it's been done that way. Either that, or it's been sandblasted on one side to give it this effect afterwards. You can see the dust coming off the board just here. Look. And then again, this is very, very flexible, so I'm going to try not to put too much pressure on that piece. But we're going to put that to one side until we've got the build done. Okay, move this to one side as well. Bring in the switches and the stabilizers. Okay, let's catch up with chat, see what you guys have been talking about for the last couple of minutes. Albrecht says, do you have any experience with threaded inserts in wood? I'm struggling to find suitable ones. Yeah, you can find them on, where do I get mine from now? Oh, what's the name of the company? Oh, let me kind of check this for you really, really quick. I can't remember the name of the company I use. It is a UK-based company. Let me see if I can find them. Westfield Fasteners is the name of the company I use. They offer both inserts that are threaded and they offer the screws to go in them as well. You will need to bond them with some epoxy into the wood though once you put them in, or push them in with a heated iron at the same time as well, something like that. I would recommend doing both, to be honest with you. Nebula says, oh, can't wait for his, got it with the weird HHKB style. Nice. Sort of looks like a Zen garden. What's that, sorry? Not sure what Zen garden means, but yep, okay. Interesting. Noxy 268.2 polycase wasn't nearly as flexible, I think. So Zondat did show me one of the Noxy 268.2 polycarbonates, I think just before Christmas. I think it was a pink one. We went for a coffee together near me, and he showed me one. And I do remember it being quite flexible on the top part. It's because it's so thin. Polycarbonate isn't a thick material, and it's not a particularly dense one either. So it is quite easy for it to become quite flexible if you put just a little bit of pressure on there. Fiona, your Zen garden is confusing me. I'm not quite sure what you meant, but do let me know because I want to know now. Ramai's pinging me at J Zen garden. Oh, I see what you mean. The milling lines, yes, the milling lines. I've got you. Yes, I've got you. The milling lines kind of look like a Zen garden, yeah. Where you get a little rake and you kind of rake it into a yeah, I've got you. No, I've got you, Fiona. Ramai put me on the right track. Okay, guys, so we are now going to build the board up. We're going to go with putting the stabilizers into the board. These are cherry clip-in stabilizers, which is unusual for me, but it does mean that we don't have to screw them in, which is not necessarily a bad thing. We're going to go with 6.25 space. We're also going to go with full backspace. So we're going to have full backspace. We're going to have ISO enter, and then we're going to have whichever of these is shorter as a space bar, which is that one. And that's all the stabilizers we need for this particular build. The reason we don't need any more is because it's ISO. We'll be doing split left shift down here, and there's none needed for right shift. So we'll be good from that front too. We could have gone split space, but I don't like split space personally, so just need to work out where these are going to go. So that's going to go just here, and then we've got one for ISO, which is just going to sit in there, and then the ones for backspace are going to go the other way around and sit just like so. The other thing I'm going to do today is try a new method of lubing stabs. So the first thing I'm going to do is take these apart and clip them. But once I have done, we're going to try a new method for lubing these stabilizers, which a friend has recommended to me. I have no idea if it works. We'll see during the stream if it does. If it does, great. If it doesn't, well, I'll have to rebuild this board in a couple of weeks and fix them. But effectively, you don't lube the sides of the sliders on this method. You just put lube where the insert is, and you do it in a slightly different way. You do it whilst it's built up. So the first thing we're going to do whilst we're getting to that point is we're going to clip these stabilizers. So on the base of these stabilizers, on all Cherry and GMK stabilizers, you will see that there are 4 legs. You've got one in this corner and one in this top corner, which are slightly different shapes, and as you can see, they're slightly raised off the base. They're not flush. Those are the 2 that we're going to take off of each one. So we're going to take the flush cutters, and we're just going to snip that leg off on the corner there, like so. And then we're going to spin it round, and then on the other side we are going to clip as well. But we're going to clip this one at an angle and try and take off that nubbin to make it flush across the base of the stab as well. So we're going to take it like that, and then what you'll see is I've taken this one just off there at an angle when it decides to focus. And that means that it's now completely flush on the base, and there's nothing raised off from that perspective. So we're going to rinse and repeat that for the next few. The music does seem to have stopped. I'm not quite sure why. Let's find some more. Oh, the stream's gone offline. Interesting. Interesting. Let's get some more music going. There we go. So now I'm just going to clip the rest of these as well, following the same methodology, taking off those 2 legs. And once we've done this, we can pop the stabilizers together, try out this new lubing method, get them in the board, and see where we go from there. Apologies if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, then you guys know what not to do as well. If it does work, then perhaps this will be a little bit easier than the long-winded, drawn-out method I've always used previously. Okay, just about there with the clipping now. This is the last one. There we go. Okay, so let's catch up with chat. No, it's not the toothpick mod, Deza. The thing for me is I don't want to go through all of that process, building a keyboard and bring the presets together, since I'm an absolute rookie in this keyboard thing. Since I'm at such an early stage, I wanted something simple where I only need to put the switches and the keycaps in, taking a look at GMMKs, but they seem to be sold out. Okay. I really would recommend some of the hot swaps boards from KD fans, because I think they're really good starter boards. They sound good, they're good quality, they're a known quantity, and Way's got great service. Way's the owner of the store. If you want to spend a little bit more, you can probably find something already built. If you're really struggling to get something and build it yourself, then I'm absolutely happy to build something for you. either way, you know, you're new to the hobby, I'll do it here, we can stream it, you can see exactly how I'm building it, put it together, and then if it's hot swap, you can take it away and do it yourself, or if you look back in the history, I've done some hot swap builds as well. You can also have a look at the HS60, which is a PCB that's in group buy right now, which is a 60% PCB, available in HHKB, ANSI, and ISO layouts. I think that ends this week though, or it might have just ended, but if you email the vendors, they might be able to get you a spare one. But that is a really, really good PCB, and then you just need a case to put it together and a plate as well. Maybe something you want to take a look at. What is the split left shift typically assigned to? So it depends on your language. If you're ISO has multiple languages that it supports across the EU. For ISO UK, it becomes pipe /. So you can see that on this keyboard here. It becomes pipe / just down here. On ISO DE, it becomes the dual chevron emote that Querdenker posted. Good evening, Quer, as well. Good to see you, man. ISO US doesn't have split left shift particularly, so it's so yeah, ISO UK has that, yeah. ISO DE has the dual chevron ones, so yeah. Tfue just built a unicorn which also requires clipping for one of the stabs. The reason to keep the PCB that small instead of extending it the millimetre or so requires to put a screw in. My Zeal 64 screws overhang the PCB as well, but my Instant 60 with the PCB around. All depends on the case design, man. It's all about how you want to have the case design and how close knit to the PCB you want to be. That's what's limiting it. Tadar 68 with Lou Grecton is pretty great for the money. Yeah, Tadar 68 is a great board. Master Report, I probably wouldn't look at that. Personally, but yeah, it is a last resort. Anyone know why Zeal decided to stop doing customs or even PCBs? I think he just wants to concentrate on the Switch market. I think that's it. So yeah, honestly, I think soldering is the least troublesome part of custom build. Tuning switches and stabs are probably the most important aspects. Yeah, I would possibly agree, but soldering is probably the most daunting of the three things to do. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, guys, is pop these stabilizers back together. So we're going to insert all of the housings together and pop them back together. As I said, this isn't the usual way I do this, so this is very much a test for me to see whether this works or not. If it does, great. If it doesn't, well, rip me. I'll be rebuilding this board next week. In fact, actually, next week I have something quite special hopefully lined up, which will be an Alps build. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, I'm clipping these back together, making sure everything's working just fine. Okay, all looking good from that perspective. Okay. Okay, so now we're ready to install these in the PCB. Now I'll show you this new method that I've been told. So the first thing we've got here is dielectric grease inside a plastic tub. That's just standard dielectric grease. I usually use this for all of my keyboards, and effectively it's got a nozzle on the end with not a needle but a kind of a tube made of metal that allows you to apply grease in certain areas. The first thing that we're supposed to do with this particular method is drop the housing on the inside. So you can see it's stuck out on the top there in the stabilizer raised position, and you're going to put a blob on the inside. So we're just going to squeeze out a small amount of lube on the inside of there, just like so, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. Then we're going to pop them into the plate. Sorry, into the PCB, sorry. Again, we're just going to line these up. Oops. If I don't drop them, I'm just going to line them up like so. We're going to clip these in at the top. That's all in place. The next thing we're going to do is lift up the back, take the nozzle, and then squeeze some more lube inside there. Oops. I'm going to take the other side. As I say, I've not tried this before. I have no idea if this works, if it's a good method or not. Let it flow down. And then I'm going to do the same from this side, just inside. And just basically jam it in there. Now if this works, I'll be very surprised, but it's always good to try new things, and if this makes it a little bit easier, then we're all good for that. Let's catch up with chat because lots been going on here. Zero D says, honestly, I think soldering. Yeah, we talked about that. Unicorn needed clip-in stabs because of the stab housing. It's smaller on the clip-ins. The screw-in stabs push the gasket too much. It doesn't fit the case. I believe that's the same here as well. Pre-order for extras on the H60. Nice. Yeah. Brown Alps we'll be building next week. Group I ended last night. Typical. Always the way. Fully assembled means that I only need to put the switches and keycaps in. No, fully assembled means you just need to put your keycaps on. Big risk if this stab tuning turns out badly, need to desolder and rebuild the entire thing. Yeah, absolutely, but it's fine. That's not a problem. We can do it. Fully assembles mean they'll build it for you. Oh yes, KBD fans will build it for you. So I'm just going to quickly try and get the dielectric grease. I didn't put too much dielectric grease in here because I didn't know how well this was going to work and whether I was going to want to do it again. So we'll see how well this goes. I don't have high hopes for the method, but a friend of mine did recommend it, and they're not usually too wrong about this kind of stuff, so we'll see how we get on. Luckily this is my own personal board, it's not anyone else's, so now we've done that, we're just going to go into the back again. And into the back here again, basically jamming it down nicely. Then we're going to lay that down. We're going to go into the front. It's less messy on the hands, I'll be honest. Don't get as much all over my hands. Excuse me. And then we're going to finally put the space in. Okay, just waiting for the dielectric grease to fall through. Now if this does work, and it works really well, you may see me do this more often. Okay. Probably uses more dielectric grease doing it this way, to be honest with you. Pop it in for the 6.25 use spacebar option. We're going to go into the back of the stabilizer housing again. And then into the front again. And say, definitely not the way I would usually do this, but I'm interested to see how that turns out. Okay, so there we go. So Llama Farmer says the MC server is popping. Glad you're enjoying the Minecraft, man. What are the difference between a GMK screw-in stabilizers and Cherry? So GMK and Cherry stabilizers are actually exactly the same. They're made by the same company, the same factory in China makes them. The only difference is one is branded as Cherry and they'll clip in. That's the same as these. The other ones are screw-in, which means that where I've clipped these in on the bottom, you would actually have a small screw, and you tighten the screw from the base into the plate, into the PCB. Well, into the actual the stabilizer, but nipping it tight to the PCB. But they're called GMK screw-ins. You've also got a different type called Zeal, which they're also screw-ins, and they're a clear, transparent housing rather than a black, opaque one. So those are three. But there's really zero difference in terms of the actual feel of them once they're in the board. Just more about security. Clipping ones that sometimes pop out and have to be repositioned. More options because more choice. That's the way it is. KVS says, Stop Clack, is it worth using fibre washers for the motherboard? So sometimes when you're putting screw-in stabs in, yes, well, so you can see here where I've got the clip. Sometimes that's a screw if you're using screw-in ones. If you've got it where it touches anything, like you can see here, it touches a pad. Just there. If there's any pad that it touches throughout the whole keyboard, so that one's clear, you can see there's no pad that it touches. The ISO ones sometimes touch pads as well, so if there's anything touching a pad, use a little washer, use a fibre washer or a paper washer, and that will prevent you having that problem. Everything looks installed from that perspective, so now it's time to take the plate. Make sure everything lines up on there, so there's plenty of movement there. It's nice and easy, nothing's too tight, which is always good to see. And then the next thing we're going to do is just pop a switch in each corner of the plate and then into the PCB as well, and that should hold nice and tight, and that'll just give us a little bit more presence when we're pushing the rest of the switches in. Okay, I'm just going to put one in each corner, as I say, and then we'll put a couple in the middle, and then we'll start to try and build it out. One of the challenges we're going to have here is as we're pushing the switches in, you'll see that the plate will flex towards the PCB, and we'll struggle to get the switches in, so we're going to hold the PCB up as we push the switch in, and that should give us that kind of increased compatibility. Okay. Just putting two in here because there's two different sides of the plate that are all cut away. So just going to make sure we've got them in nice and even. And then, as I say, we're just going to do a few in the middle. So as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm holding the plate up with two fingers, pushing the switch in, making sure it's clipped into the plate, and everything's okay from that perspective. And we're just going to keep putting a few more in. There we go. Okay, now we should be able to fill in the rest of the board with switches, making sure that we've got enough clipping into the plate, and making sure that it's all nice and settled into the PCB and nice and flush as well. The last thing we want to do is have switches that aren't flush in the PCB, because that might affect tolerances inside the case. Is it worth going for an aluminium case, or is a plastic good quality? It entirely depends. Plastics are not all equal. So polycarbonate, which this board is usually quite expensive because it's difficult to mill, but it does offer a really unique sound profile. So a lot of people prefer that. Other boards, such as the JO1, is solid aluminium and brass, and it's pretty hefty as well. So it all depends on what you want from the board. Sound, typing feel, weight, these are all different characteristics that you need to consider. Okay, you can see we're now starting to get plenty of the board filled. Everything's clipping in nicely. I'm sure you guys can hear that on the mic, that it's clipping into the plate and the PCB just nicely. This will also make the PCB level, which was one of the issues we had before. PCB had a slight bend in it, but this will remedy that too. Acidic Pure says, reminds me that I need to clip and lube dampen the stabs on my alt high profile, which should hopefully help the noise a little bit. Yes. There might be plate mount stabs to save on cost. Yes, plate mount stabs aren't ideal. They're very difficult to remove rattle from, in my experience. So I try to avoid them where possible, but sometimes they do come in pre-built boards. Oh, bent pin. I thought that was struggling to go in. There we go. Now we've built out the most of the PCB with these, we're just going to switch is orientated the other way around for this. Now we're just going to try and fill in all of the gaps, going left to right, right to left, sorry, right to left. Okay. We'll look at the bottom row in a second when we've got some keycaps to hand, make sure we've got the right layout and choices there. So for this particular layout, we're going to go 1.25, 1.25, 1.25, 6U for the space bar, and then we're going to go 1.5, 1.25, 1.25. I think we'll have a look and see what it supports in a few minutes. Okay. making good progress now. Slightly bent pin. Do you test your subs before you solder? So normally I do, Moroccan, but what I'm doing here is I'm gonna trust in my friend and trust their recommendation. Normally the usual way I do stabilizers, if I do them my way, I don't need to test them because I kind of know how they're going to be, and I apply lube in a very rigorous manner. It's the same every time. Use the same stabilize the same amount of lube and tend not to have any problems, and you can always tweak and tune them afterwards as well, but for this particular one I'm going to trust in my friend. It's a personal board, it's not something I'm building for someone else. I rarely do custom builds for other people. 90% of the boards on this channel that I build are for me personally and not for other people. But the plan is not to remain with this build forever anyway. I'm going to get a fixed plate cut out for this board at some point in the future anyway, so this isn't going to be a permanent build anyway. The switches will probably go back into it, but I'll have a specific ISO fixed plate cut for this board at some point in the near future. Probably get two, one in polycarbonate, one in carbon fibre. So I'm just more interested to see how the new method for doing stabilizer my friend recommended sounds just naturally after doing it, rather than spending 20 minutes tweaking it and tuning it and ended up doing it the way I usually do it. I don't think that'd be a fair test for me to do. Okay, so we're almost there now, guys. Almost got all of these switches in. I'm probably going to go stepped caps, I think, because stepped caps is best, as we all know. Okay. Making sure the plate clips in nicely just there. Let's catch up with chat. Kind of wish we went for a PC plate. It looks great. Smell and taste should also be considerations. No. Order brass instead. That's fine. This isn't hot swap. No, this will need soldering. I'm just putting the switches into the plate and PCB at the minute, and then we'll crack on with some soldering in a few moments. I enjoy the smell of a steel plate. Aluminium tastes horrible. Interesting. I'm too scared to solder anything at the minute. No, soldering's dead easy. And you can always fix it if you mess it up. You're never usually going to solder so badly that you damage the PCB. That's, you know, few and far between times does that happen. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a tub of keycaps that I've got to one side, just to make sure we get these in the bottom row correct. Bear in mind, this isn't what I intend using on the board, so please don't assume it is. I just need the 6.25U spacebar, which I've got here. So we're just going to make sure basically that we're just lining everything up, so I use the correct switch positionings. There we go. And goes in the center just there. And then I'm just going to rest that on just barely. And then, as I say, I'm not using this set, I'm just using it to help me get these in the right place. I appreciate these are the wrong legends in the wrong places, but it'll help me just make sure I've got the switches in the right place. If I can find any more 1.25U keys, that is. There we go. Should have some more in here. Come on. Come on, where are you? There we go. That's those in place there. And then we've just got 2 more. I believe these are 1.25 at the far side. And we'll get the top case as well ready so we can see where the blocker goes. You guys can see it's going to sit together broadly like this. And just need one more now. There we go. Okay. So there you go. We can see now that we've got the whole front row lined up nice and neatly, which means I can now gently, hopefully, remove these keycaps. Didn't figure I'd put them on so tight. Hopefully we won't pull out the switch as well. There we go. So now we know they're all in the correct places. Whoops. Or we did. There we go. Now that comes off. Typical. Barely put these on, these stems. See how that goes. There we go, all looking good there. Just need to take these last 2 out. Come on. There we go. And then the final one, try not to pull it out of the plate. There we go. Perfect, so that's all in place. Might need that in a minute. There we go. Okay, let's catch up with chat. My favourite switches to taste are currently Fame matcha switches. However, I prefer the smell of cream switches. Cream switches smell so bad out of the box. I'll be honest. Soldering is easy. Desoldering is a real pain. Get the right tools. Desoldering is just as easy. I promise. Soldered through-hole diodes and socket MCU this year. First time soldering. Nice, man. That's good. Co-star stabs are a pain in the ass. Yes, they are. I don't use co-star stabs unless I have to. So you trust your wires to be consistent as you're lubing it? Yes, generally do. The wires are rarely the issue, especially because there's not much you can do with them. You can try and bend the wires slightly, but I've never had an issue with that, and I've built somewhere in the region of about 400 boards now. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with my building skills, Moroccan. So yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Yeah, in the bag they definitely don't smell good. Nothing beats a good cream. Yeah, all-time favourite switches for taste or flavour. Unclean vintage backs, lovely. Jampot is here as well. Yo Jay, how's it going? Nice to see you, man. Good to see you here. Which key set is that? So the green one that was just here, that's GMK Royal Alpha round 1 with the white mods. So originally you had green mods and you had a white mod pack. That's the white mod pack. Want to hear how this stab method does. Seems odd not to lose the sliders, but maybe they won't be as sluggish. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. I want to test this out. That's why I'm not doing any tweaking or tuning now. I'm just literally doing it as per the process recommends. Let's test it. Let's see what it sounds like. If it sounds terrible, I'm rebuilding this board anyway, so it's not too much of a big deal. And then I can just have a look at that when we get around to it. Mex on Decker here, loving the title. Thanks, guys. If someone dared me to do it, it's stupid, and I regret it a little bit now. So the next thing we're going to do is just double check that all of the pins are showing through, make sure that we've got all pins and nothing's bent. So I'm just going switch by switch, just visually checking each of the pins is showing through, and we've got 2 for each switch. That way we can make sure that we don't have any bent pins and we don't need to desolder anything as we go through. The other thing I'm also checking is that the height of the amount of the switch that's pressed through is consistent. That way I know that all of the switches are flush and that none need any further pressing. And just almost through this checking now, just on the bottom row. So right here we've got 1 bent pin, so I can remove this switch, replace it, and unbend the pin. There we go. This is why we do visual checks, guys. We can re-push that back in, make sure it's nice and clipped in, and then we've got 0 bent pins. The next thing we're doing is checking that all the switches are flush with the PCB. I'm broadly comfortable that they will be. You can see just down the edges that they're all nice and flush. Just giving it a visual inspection, all nice and flush again. All nice and flush again. Press in the middle, make sure it's all there. All looking good and comfortable. Okay, now we're going to move on to soldering. So for soldering, I use a TS100 soldering iron. This has probably done quite a few boards now over the years. Probably had this one about 2 years now. Change the tips every 3 or 4 weeks, but it's doing a good old job. Let that heat up for a moment. Grab the solder, Kester solder. Always pays to have nice quality solder. Unlubed stabs, no, they're lubed, just a different method, a method that I don't usually use. Trying out a friend's suggestion. So if you do want to check it out, if you want to go back on the VOD, you'll see how lubed it is. That's fine. I'm not calling it a method until it actually works, pilot. So I'm not going to give it a name unless it actually works. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be like. It's entirely new method to me. The reason why I didn't spend, as I was explaining to Moroccan earlier on, ages just testing them out and listening to them is because I want to see how this sounds just off the back of doing it, not spend ages trying to tune the switches, actually trying to tune the stabilizers, because by the time I've done that, I might as well just use my old method anyway. So this method's supposed to be faster and easier. It's certainly cleaner on the fingers. So what I'm doing now is just soldering a few different points on the board to hold everything together, just in case I knock everything or move anything. So soldering 2 corners on one side, 2 switches in the middle of the board, just to hold everything together there, and then I'll solder the other 2 corners as well. Okay. Just going to solder this one last corner now, and then we'll move on to soldering the board proper. There we go. That's that done there. Okay. Yeah, I'm interested to see what they sound like. We'll soon see. There is plenty of lube on them, so you know it's not a. One of the interesting things is because of the way you do lube it, it does come up the side. So I don't know if you can see that, but I didn't have to lube the side of that, and it's already got lube on it, and you can probably see it better on this one here actually. But there's already lube on the side of that stabilizer. And get the light to shine on it. There you go. Just from the way we've input the lube into the switch, so maybe it will work just as well as the other method. Who knows? Okay, so now we've soldered those in place and everything's secure. We're now just going to go row by row, and we're just going to solder the board together. As I say, this is a bit of an experimental build from the stabilizer perspective, but you've got to try new things in this hobby. I've been doing it my way for 2 years now. If I didn't try other people's methods, it would be madness. You have to learn to try new things, and if there's an easy way of getting the same result, I'm all for it. Okay. Apologies guys, this will be the most boring part of the stream. Must be quite a lot of lube in there. Yeah. They don't feel sluggish to return, which I never usually experience anyway, the way I do, because I use really thin layers anyway. It looks broadly the same as what it looks like after I've lubed them my way, which is to use a paintbrush and actually lube the side of the stabilizers with a paintbrush, and then place some lube underneath, and then lube the wire itself directly, and then insert the wire and then put it all together once it's got lube on it. It broadly looks the same, so we'll see if it feels the same. As I say, I wouldn't try this on a customer build, not that I do very many of them. Most of these boards are mine. I think I've only done 3 customer builds this year, and I've done a stream every Sunday bar 2. And the rest have all been my boards. Okay. And as I say, if they feel broadly okay and just need a slight top up even, that would be you know, just as acceptable from this new stabilizer method. There we go. Okay, on the second row now, guys. Try not to take too long. I know this is by far the most tedious area of the stream. You guys just watching me heat up some bloody wire and push it into some holes is not exactly entertaining, so I do apologise. I like the idea of this. I need to get a dispenser that is similar that I can squeeze out super glue grease. Yeah. Is this an R68 hot swappable? I think there is a hot swappable version of it, if I remember rightly. I'm pretty sure there is. I don't tend to use hot swap boards. I like to have soldered boards, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure there is a version. You can definitely take a look on KVD fans and you'll be able to see that for certain. Even if it doesn't come with one, I'm sure there is a hot swap compatible PCB for it. Is there going to be another group buy for the E6.5? I don't know, if I'm honest. I really don't know. There may or may not be another run for it. That's entirely up to Exclusive. I'm not sure if he's watching. He said he might do. Okay. Making good progress now. Okay. Almost through the second row, guys. Once we've done this, we'll jump onto the next one, and then we'll go from there. And then once we've done this, we can start to look at how the gasket mounts, and then from there we can look at how the case all plugs together. I'm just going to drop down and do the ISO enter here. Make sure I don't bridge any connections there. Okay. Take your time, Jay, and breaking down a HHKB. That sounds like a ton of fun, Nebulant. I hope you're enjoying that. Topa is still one thing I just don't quite personally enjoy myself in the hobby. I'd much rather have an MX style switch or an Alp style switch, but that's just me. I have an Instant 60 hot swap, and the plate I have does not hold the split backspace or spacebar switches nicely. Where do you get your custom fixed plates from? So I get the plate files done from a friend, or I do them myself depending on how much time I've got, but then I have a number of different manufacturers I get my custom plates done by. Probably the most common one, if you want a brass or metal plate, is Laser Boost. For plastics and other materials, it depends. Mostly China retailers, but a lot of people don't like to share the manufacturers, so I'm not going to spill secrets that aren't mine to share on stream, I'm afraid. Currently my favourite probably material is carbon fibre, I would have thought. We've already done those switches. With thick polycarbonate being in third place, and I'm really interested to try out thick POM plates as well. I know the Kendo's offering a 4mm thick POM plates. I'm really excited to see what that looks like and try that out as well. Okay, just 2 more rows left to do after these next couple of switches, and then once we've done those, we are finished. unless you change something in Soldering 68, it's not hot swappable. I could have sworn that they had a hot swappable PCB for it, Nebula. I'm not sure if that's what you linked to there. To be honest, if you're going to be picking up a board from KBD fans, there should be a new version of the KBD 67 coming out soon, so I'd wait for that. That could be 6 months, 12 months away before it delivers, though. If someone wants something right now, what they've got is just as good. What's your opinion on the GMK screw and stab issue? I mean, sometimes boards are designed without certain things taken into consideration. The early 268s from Noxery, they had problems with screw and stabilizers as well. You know, it's just one of those things. Tolerances for things like stabilizers aren't always taken into consideration. To be honest, for me, it's a non-issue. Clip-ins aren't really that bad. I know people give them bad rep, but I've never had a clip-in pull out. I imagine you'd have to be quite aggressive with your keycap puller to actually get a stabilizer to pop out. Wires, yeah, everyone's had that happen, but not the actual stabilizer itself. So I'm fine with using clip-ins. I don't think it's an issue. And as I say, that's part of the reason why I'm trying this new stabilizer lubing method. Which seems to have worked, to be honest. It seems to have given good coverage. As I say, we'll see what it sounds like and stuff when we put the keycaps on the board and I take my headphones off for that. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, almost there on this row, and then we'll just drop down and do the spacebar row afterwards. It shouldn't take too long. Another 3 or 4 minutes, and we should be fully complete. Okay. What are DIY kits? Do it yourself. Oh, alright. Yeah, you just push it all together. To be honest, DIY kits are pretty easy to follow these days. Just realised that has got one bent pin when we were checking at the end. I think I just finished after I saw the previous bent pin. Didn't check the rest of that row, so I'm just going to come back to that one in a second. Okay. Onto the spacebar now. Almost there now, guys. Just a couple more switches to go. This one that I'm doing now, just one with a bent pin, which we're just going to fix in a second. Just take 2 seconds to fix this. As you can see, just a slight bent pin there. Nice and easy to fix. And here we go. slight concern that my bridge just here, so I'm just going to try and empty that out. There we go, perfect. That should all be fine. Okay, first thing we're going to do is just test this PCB before we put the soldering iron away. Make sure that everything is working, responding as it should be. Again, this is a personal build, and given the fact that it's going to get rebuilt, I'm not too massively fussed if there's a problem with the PCB at this stage. I'll just reach out to Exclusive and fix it if that becomes an issue. But I'm sure it'll all be fine. Steal the cable from the macro pad, just like so. Okay. So first and foremost, all of the LEDs light up, which is a great sign. And then I'll just get up switch hitter and we'll see how we're looking. Okay, let me just make sure you guys can see switch hitter. And there you go, you should be able to now see that. Okay, so we're just going to go and test the board, make sure everything's fact. Let's just flick it over to ISO, there we go. Escape 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0 dash plus backspace is all working. That column is all working as well. Everything is good on the arrows. All good there. Caps lock's working. We will remap the board using VIA towards the end of the stream as well. Just make sure we get the layout that we want, because that particular key isn't working just there, although it may be that VIA doesn't work with the ISO layout, so we might have to do that manually. Control Win Alt spacebar, that'll be FN and Alt is there as well, so it must be set to FN. Let's just test. Yeah, so FN, and there you go, you can see that the F keys are working as well. So everything is looking okay from that perspective. We can now get rid of a switch hitter. Pop this back into, there we go, and then we can now start to take a look at putting the board back together in full. The first thing I'm going to do is flip this over. I'm going to take our gasket and see how we stretch it around the PCB. It's quite a large gasket. I assume it sits just like so. There we go. All looking good there. Let's catch up with chat, because I've just seen that Brumans has subscribed for 6 months. Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate that. When you do lube switches, do you clean the brush off underwater and reuse, or do you use a new brush for each lube? I clean the brush using isopropyl alcohol, which gets rid of the lube better than any other method I've found so far. We're just going to lay the plate in as such. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to take the base, push the base together. And then we should be able to screw this all down nice and tightly. Again, just taking care with the polycarbonate threads. You don't want to over tighten these. I'm just going to do this one just so it's finger tight, and then we're going to go diametrically opposed into the other top corner, and from there we can just make sure everything is nice and snug. I'm just double checking that everything is tight on the tolerances from the side perspective, making sure that both the top and the bottom case are lining up correctly. And then we'll screw this in. There we go. Okay, this one now, the case is aligned on the sides. I'm going to tighten up fully. But again, not too tight because it's polycarbonate and I don't want to strip it. We're just going to come back down to this corner now and retighten this one, just so it's a little bit tighter. And then we'll go from there, putting the rest of these in. As I say, working our way around the board, diametrically opposed. Jampot saying, can you read my previous message, Jay? Sick board, by the way. Did I join the thermal group buy? So tempted, but don't know about ISO. Yeah, so I joined thermal. Wilbur is going to provide an ISO plate. So I'm going to be picking up an ISO plate, and the Wilbur D WTB60 D PCB does support ISO as well, so that PCB will be the one that I'll buy for that particular board. Yuri for the win has to go. Dear Jay, would you recommend, or say good night everyone, I thought you were saying goodbye, but saying hello, would you recommend swapping the springs of Silent Ink Gateron switches for something else, perhaps 6.3.5? How would you compare them to Helios? So let's look at the Helio comparison first. I think they're broadly similar. There isn't a massive amount of difference between the two. What I would say is that Helios have probably got a slightly nicer switch, maybe 1 or 2% better, well maybe 5% better, but the price is what's really going to sell you in favour of the inks. I would spring swap them, but I spring swap nearly every switch. The best switches I've found on the market so far are sprit springs. If you don't want to support sprit, Cat Wee Wee springs are a slightly less, but a good second best. And then in third place, I would currently put the TX springs. That being said, Mike from Novel Keys is currently looking at a spring range. The springs I've tried from him so far are pretty good. Just need to see what the rest of the range comes out like. Lex says, so is this a top-mounted gasket with the gasket mount category? No, so this has the option of using either top mount or gasket mount. You can pick and choose between the two. For example, I haven't screwed in the top mounts for this. I'm just using the gasket to mount it. So, yeah, that's the way I would look at it. It's a dual mount option board, not two mounts in one. This is very much an O-ring gasket board when you build it with the gasket. Just while we've got the board upside down, we are going to quickly change over the feet. I have realised that I forgot to change over the badge as well because I've kind of put the J badge on. I'll do that off stream. So I'm just going to put these bump-ons in place. There we go. Last two. Okay, there we go. So that's the board all now put together. I think you'll agree that looks quite nice actually. I like the fact that I went for the red because the red now matches the gasket look and feel across the board, so I think that looks quite good. I will change that badge over to the J1 later on just because it's my board and I think that'll look quite nice just there. Okay, and now we need some keys to put on the board. So for this board I am going to go with GMK Honeywell. Find all of the things I'm not using out of the way here. So this is a broadly unused set. This is GMK Honeywell round 1. It's not round 2. We're not going to use any of the exit keys at the minute, I don't think. We don't need either of those space bars. There we go. Now I do have two artisans that we may or may not use. So I do have the Honeywell Fugu, and I also have the Honeywell Kipura. I'll let you guys decide which makes its way onto the board whilst I put the rest of the keycaps on. I think I know which one you guys will pick, but we'll see. Use the UK ISO keys here. It's slightly different on the 2 and the 3. Lax says, I guess to clarify, there are variations of the gasket mount implementation. Very many variations. Yeah, there's been 7 or 8 that we've seen so far in the community. Everything from burger mount to onion mount to leaf spring mount, which is kind of a variation on gaskets if you kind of think about it in a certain way, to true isolation, which Dixie Mech and I are a fan of. There's just a lot of different variations of that. So I'm going to put the keycaps here that I usually use rather than what's mapped to the board at the minute, and we'll come back to those shortly. I'm sure this has got the right keys for it. Oh, there it is. There's the key that I wanted. There we go. I'll let you guys vote on using the red accent arrows as well, whether you think I should use those, whether you think I should just keep this classy. I do intend well, I'm going to have to use the red accent ISO because there isn't a grey one with this particular set, so I am going to have to use it. So I'll probably use the grey arrows, actually, thinking about it. I could have sworn it did come with a grey ISO key. Apparently not. Apparently I'm mistaken. Have I got the R2 red yet? No, sadly not. I did give away a set of Honeywell to a friend last week, so I'm back down to 2 sets, but I am still hoping that I'll get to trade one of these round 1 sets for Honeywell and Co. Step caps lock is here, and then straight into the next row. I know how the red accents get a lot of use. Do DIY kits come with an instruction manual? Generally not, Mac, no. I mean, usually it's just a case of doing exactly what I've done with this particular build, and taking your time, switches into the plate and the PCB, putting your stabilizers in first, and then adding your keycaps on top once you've soldered it or plugged it all together. There's not really much to go wrong, and you're more than welcome to check out my historic streams to check out how I've done builds. You can also check out people like Tfue Types. I just realised I have used one wrong key actually just there. There we go. And as I say, this is very much a new method of lubing for me, so we'll see how it feels on the stabilizer shortly. Broadly confident in it, but we'll see. I still have some reservations about it. Okay, almost there now. Help if I put these in the right way around. Trusting that it was the right way around in the box, and it wasn't. I think we'll go with the Kipura. I think it just looks nicer than the Fugu. That's my personal choice. There we go, guys. This is the E6.5 gasket mounted polycarbonate plate, Gateron ink switches, GMK Honeywell in ISO UK layout with the Honeywell Fugu as well. Top Clack badge at the minute, probably going to change it out for the J1 later on, and as you can see the matching weight on the base as well, which is really rather nicely done. Side profile, you can definitely see that gasket running through the board, so there we go. Looks really, really nice. Yes, Blading, I have the Honeywell Fugu here, but I chose to use the Kipura instead. I don't think anyone voted, so that's what we went with. Okay, let's get to a chat. Neither artisan, says Nebulant. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. No arrows, only enter and escape. Yeah, I can't do the enter sadly as the grey one. I wish I could have done it, and I might have done the red arrows, but I think this works just as it is anyway. So what's isolation mount versus gasket mount? So gasket mount like this, you can see that the plate does have contact all around the edge with the case, but the gasket is vertically up and down, preventing movement, and it rests on that gasket. With isolation mount, the plate doesn't touch the case at all, so you usually have a layer underneath the plate, a layer above the plate which will run all around the top edge, and then a layer in between that's the same thickness as the plate that runs all around the edge of it effectively, so it creates a skin around the edge, and therefore none of it touches any part of the case. That's the way that the gasket's designed in that particular board there, the JL1. Gasket mount is a bad term for 90% of boards that use it. Isolation mount is a better description. I would agree, but there's different terms of isolation mount then as well. Mr. Petrov missed the middle of the stream. Can anyone please summarise the new lubing method? Basically, it's squeeze and squirt using this into the stabilizers with dielectric grease. It looks like it does an okay job, but I'm not convinced. But I'll be rebuilding this board anyway. Is that Uncle Petrov? Dixie, it's always Uncle Petrov. Injection lubing, I like that. But if it works, that's what we're going to go with, injection lubing. Alchemist KB says it looks very snazzy. Yeah, I think it looks great. I'm really happy with that. I think it looks fantastic. Yeah, I'm psyched to listen to it in a few minutes. I'm going to try it out. Hey guys, looking for an endgame board, choosing between a Lin Whale V2 or the Kira Please Help. The Lin for me of the two, I would always go for that. I get no respect. Mr. Petrov, I respect you. I care about you and respect you. Looks incredible. Thank you, man. Artisan is classy. Thank you, dude. Let him, we showed you the Fugu. Yeah. Oh, it's only for stabs, not for switches. Yes, the switches have been lubed. Standard method, brushing and lubing, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. Okay, thanks. Sounds like it'll save a few minutes. What tools using for shooting the lube into the holes? Plastic squeezy bottle with a plastic and metal thick. I don't want to call it a needle, but it's kind of like a thick injection metal part that sits on top that just screws onto there effectively. And then dielectric grease. Kipura is a subtle flex. What about the rest of the Kipuras and the other macro pad there that's full of them? And I think I've got a couple on the wall as well somewhere. Yeah, I've got a few Kipuras. I like them. Good sculpt. He's got a bottle with a fine-tipped nozzle. There you go. Yep. Yeah, he does. Oh, if only that was on the Mrs. Petrov account, Mrs. Petrov. If only that was on the other account. Yeah, so I have all three. Sorry, I have all four of the Hyperfuse trifecta Picoras. I can't reach the other one, but I've got all four of them. That's one. That's the cyan one. I've got the grey one, and I've got the purple one as well. That's the trifecta. So yeah, I've got all of them. I've also got this one here, which is the JO1 Kipura, which is very limited edition. It's only for buyers of the JO1 board. I've got the Waves Kipura here. That's the Deep Space one. That's the Royal Alpha one. That's the keycaps one, which is really rare. That's another limited edition one. It was done for a private commission. So yeah. Keyboard on the top left looks like it's a box. So the keyboard on the top left, this is the JO1. This is my personal design custom board. So there you go. That's the board. The magnetic pen rail. So that's a pen rail that just sits in there. It's made of brass and it's held in place by magnets. Yeah, that's my personal design custom. That's what all these boxes are here. I'm just about to ship out the group buy for that board actually. So there we go. Lenin was sarcasm, Jay. I know it was, but you gotta take chances to flex when you can do. Show the Panakiforas. It's somewhere in the pile at the side. I can't actually quite see it at the minute, but I do have more. I've got about 35 of them, something like that. There's no subtlety in the Kipura flex. Singapore exclusive, maybe. But the JO1 Kipura is even more exclusive because you actually have to buy one of these boards to get one. Unless, and this is where I'm going to do a shameless self-plug, unless you enter the charity raffle for the final JO1 boards. So, whilst I've shipped the 15 from the group buy, and this is the original prototype, there will be 2 boards left over. And what I'm going to do with those is there's going to be 2 options to be able to get your hands on one. And one of them is going to give you an opportunity to get hold of the Kipura as well. So, one of those boards is going to be put up for a charity raffle. And this is going to be hosted by Novel Keys, so Mike from Novel Keys has agreed to do this. Basically, if you donate £5 to the cause, you will be put into an entry, and the cause is for the hospice that looked after my mum in her final days earlier on this year before she passed away. They looked after her so well, they gave her dignity, respect and everything else, and they were such good people that I want to do a little bit something for them. So one of the final 2 boards will be raffled off. $5 entry to 1 ticket effectively for the raffle. You can enter as many times as you like. All proceeds will go straight to the charity, 100% of them, and for every single dollar that's donated, I will donate the same amount. So if $50 are donated, the winner will still get the board, and I'll donate $50 as well. If $1,000 are donated, I'll donate $1,000 and the winner will get the board, all picked by RNG. So you can have unlimited entries, so you can have 50 entries, 25 entries, 10 entries, 2 entries, 1 entry, doesn't matter, $5 per entry, and you'll be able to get hold of that via RNG, and that board will also get a JO1 Kippur as well. So that's probably somewhere in the region of about $750 worth of stuff, all for the sake of a $5 donation to a great cause. The name of the charity is called Wheatfields Hospice as well. As I say, that's where my mum spent her final days, and they just looked after her so well. I want to do something back to her. The second one is going to be run at a blind bid, so there'll be a second JO1 that won't come with a Kapura, that won't have a Kapura with it at all. It'll just be the standard basic board, and you'll have a fixed plate either way as well, and custom PCB and everything else. And that's going to be a blind bid style raffle, so as soon as the raffle is over for the $5 giveaway board effectively, and that's been pulled, there'll be a week slot where people can effectively do highest bids to try and get hold of the last JO1 as well. That'll be a whole blind bid, submit your bid, and then whoever's the highest bidder, excluding any meme bids or anything like that, or anything too extreme, they will get the second board as well, and that will also all get donated to charity. 100% of the proceeds of both boards will go to charity. So there we go. JO2 info. So the JO2 prototype is just about ready to ship to me. It was supposed to ship the other day, but the JO2 will be a much more open group buy. It won't be as limited as the JO1 was. So yeah, so there'll be more information about that in a build stream coming in the next month or so. Obviously going to be entering, as I know it's a charity board. Yeah. Data stream says it's done. You may want to set top limit for the matching. Nope, there is no top limit for the matching. If there's $50,000 donated, I will donate $50,000 as well. It doesn't matter what the top limit is, I will match it. So there we go. Anyway, that's it. That's the board built. That's the JO1 charity raffle, shilling done, as it were. It's now time to take a look at this board and see what it sounds like. First things first, I think it looks fantastic. I'm really, really happy with how this came out. I think the key set works really, really well with it. I like the red of the badges. I like the polycarbonate itself. It's really, really nice. Very smooth to the touch. Very different to how a lot of other polycarbonate boards feel. I think it's really, really nice. I'm going to turn off the music and take off my headphones now, and then once I've done that, we'll start to take a look at what it sounds like. In fact, actually, you guys probably haven't been able to hear the music, it's been that low, but let's pause that. And I'm going to take these off and put these to one side. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to listen to these stabilized keys, see what they sound like. Let's hold this up too. Sounds pretty good. Try the enter. Also sounds pretty good. There's no rattle there. Let's try the spacebar. Tiny bit of rattle just at this side, but none at this side. That sounds pretty good. Okay, I'm pretty impressed with that lubing method then. Other than a tiny little bit of lube that's needed on this side, I think that's pretty much alright. Again, bearing in mind that I just shoved some lube in there and didn't test it and just put the board together, and there we are. I think that sounds all good. I can really just tweak that dead easy. So that's not a problem. We can just do this off stream afterwards, just plug that in there and tweak that a tiny bit. But the rattle seems to be on the upstroke, so just needs it on top of the bar, I think, rather than underneath the bar. But that should be dead easy. Does stain grease PC, like if you have greasy fingers, we can just wipe off. It will do. You'll see that there's some tiny marks just here from where I've had like lube on my fingers, but that will just come off you can see it's already starting to come off as soon as I rub it. The best thing to do, baby wipes cleans polycarbonate up perfectly. I'm going to call it injection rather than shove and squirt CRD, but effectively it's dielectric grease inside this bottle, and you put the nozzle into the stab and then you squeeze until you see the lube fill up the hole, basically. Now the interesting thing about that is I thought that it wouldn't do the slider sides, so what I thought it wouldn't do is, let me grab a small stab here. So basically you pull the stab insert down so it's away, so it's like that, so you can see it's stuck out like so. And then what you do is you fill the bottom up there with lube. I usually do that anyway, so that's fine. Then you compress it and you put it into the board. Then once you put it into the board, you re-lift it up, fill the back, and then also fill the front, and then just come around onto the lube there, just squeeze it in, basically just pop it in and squeeze, just like that, squeeze, dead easy. Now the interesting thing that when I did that, what actually happened is it actually coated the sides of the stabilizer as well, which I wasn't expecting it to, but that whole compression pushes it around and coats it quite well, so you can hear that they're quite rattly. But in the board they seem fine. It doesn't make them any more sluggish, that much better. I usually wipe them on and put a very thin layer on and stuff like that, and it's usually a lot neater, but this is less messy on your fingers. It's dead easy to do, it's a lot faster, a lot simpler, and it broadly gives the same result. Now you don't put too much in there that you're going to get sluggish, but there's nothing sluggish on the return of these keys, so I think it's all good. Space standard touch raspy, yeah, just on this side, I think it's just on this side there. I can hear it on the upstroke more than on the downstroke. It just needs a slight bit tweaking. I think that's one side that's not quite covered, or it's the bar that's when it's hitting the top of the stabilizer. It's not quite covering that. The lube's just normal dielectric grease. Just normal dielectric grease. Doesn't miss method. Oh no, we've covered that. What do you use for stamps? Dielectric grease. Just the same stuff. So just standard dielectric grease, silicone grease. Yeah, it's the same stuff I use all the time on every other build stream, just put in a different bottle. So I'll tweak that later on. I'll just put a little bit more in there, but I think that's dead easy, probably faster and certainly easier and cleaner on my fingers than using dielectric grease in a brush, so I'm all for it. Without much further ado though, let's listen to the sound of the board and see what the board actually sounds like in full. Again, bear in mind that spacebar does need a slight tweak, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Slight rattle just there, it just really bugged me as that. Sounds pretty good. I'm really impressed with that. I think the board sounds great. The switches feel fantastic. The PC plate's quite good there as well. I'm not sure if you guys can see just how much flex this has, but there is quite a bit of bounce to it. I don't know if that's showing up on camera, but there is quite a bit of flex to it. Firm bottom out, but a fair amount of flex. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a lot of bounce to it. Really interesting. So I don't know what you guys thought to the sound. Let's jump back to chat. What plate material is it? Oh, sorry, it's polycarbonate plate. I guess I need a bottle like that because my space bar on the side rattles, but I can't be asked disassembling. Yeah, 10 fast thumbs go. Yeah, sounds nice. Yeah, I think it sounds great. I'm really really happy with that. Sounds really nice. I'm really impressed. I've always liked the sound of polycarbonate boards, so I think this is probably going to become my daily driver for the next couple of weeks. The only thing we've got left to do now, though, is to program the board. So the first thing I'm going to do is what I should have done before the stream. Let me put my headphones back on and get some music going again. There we go. Let's turn the music up a bit so you guys can actually hear it. There you go. So the other thing I'm going to do now is just download VIA or VIA. Help if I could find it. Okay, I'm not quite sure why I can't find it. And I've got the link to VIA. Can't find it anywhere. Top Clack, will silicone grease work instead of Permatex dielectric grease? It's the same stuff, Jumpo. It's the same stuff. Yeah, they're both dielectric and silicone grease are interchangeable terms. Why can I not find VIA keyboard configurator? Why can I not find the download for it? Ah, here we go. Here's Olivia's. Okay, and I still can't find the damn thing. Come on, where are you? Thank you. Someone's just shared the link. Thank you very much. I was looking around for it. I'm just going to grab version 3.4. Just going to grab the XE. When it starts to download. There we go. Okay, just give me 1 second, guys. This is downloading. I should have done this before the stream, and I completely forgot that this board was VIA compatible. Yeah, thank you, J-Chef. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much. No, that key didn't work. It will need enabling. I'm hoping we can do that in VIA. If not, then we'll have a look at it. Okay, so I'm just installing VIA now. Give me 1 minute, guys, and I'll be there, and then I'll share that. Okay, let me see if I can share VIA with you guys now. Let me just add window capture. Add a new source. VIA. There we go. Interesting that that is showing up black. Not quite sure why. Let me try reloading that again. That should definitely be on VIA. Yeah, nice rectangle. Yeah, I'm trying to get it to work, but it's just not having it. How weird. How bizarre that it won't let me show VIA. Well, you can see my cursor moving around. Oh well. Let me just try plugging in the keyboard and seeing if that brings something up for you guys to see. I'll probably change the lights as well. Okay. Well, a compatible keyboard is connected. I might have to flash the firmware or something like that. Okay, guys, so I'm not going to be able to show you VIA today. For some reason, it doesn't want to let me show you it on the screen, and it doesn't want to let me actually run the software on the board. I think I might have to flash another portion of firmware or something like that. So I'll take a look at that later on. But there you go, guys. You can see what the underglow looks like with the polycarbonate as well. I'm probably going to turn that off or turn it down. In fact, let's see if we can do that now. There we go. That probably looks a little bit better breathing. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure something out with the underglow. Maybe we'll make it blue. There you go. Blue breathing underglow. There you go. Hello chat, does anyone know if battery terminal grease works as well? I don't have dielectric grease about specifically. That usually is dielectric grease, but just be careful and make sure it is. But yeah, that should be fine. Polycarb with no RGB looks great. 6.25U is a spacebar. Thought so as well. I'm not sure why you thought it was 6U. The 6U spacebar is, I think that one's 6U. There you go. You see, it's a little bit smaller. Mr. Petrov did 1,500 bits, trying to get me to say that J a voice is a passport for something he wants to use. But don't worry, I'm not going to fall for that. So thank you very much. Oh, did I say 6U earlier? Oh no, sorry, I meant 6.25U. If I did say it, I do apologise, and that was my mistake. It's pink and translucent. Interesting. Mr. Petrov getting angry with me. Using Nathan Kim's hey angry. I see how it is now. I see how it is. But there we go, guys. That's the build done. 2 hours and 10 minutes in. I think it sounds fantastic. I think it looks great. I'll figure out what I'm going to do with the underglow. Probably send it off, to be honest. There's got to be a command for that. Usually it's, there we go, turn it off, better. And we'll see how we get on with it. I'll pre-program it offline. I'm probably going to have to flash a certain firmware to get it to work with the VIA. I suspect sometimes that is the case. I'll need a latest update first before we do it. But that's the build over and done with. If you guys have got any questions for me, now's the time to post them. I've probably got about 2 minutes left of streaming. Other than this stream, next week I will be back. Hopefully I'll be building an Alps board next week. The Borsdorf should be here, and I should have 2 of them. We'll be doing a brown Alps build and a salmon Alps build if they do turn up. And I'll give you a sneak peek of what I've been doing to the AEK keycaps as well. So, sneak peek of what I've done to the AEK keycaps. I hope you guys can see that. The camera's making it look really brown, but they're grey. I promise they're grey. I have been dyeing those earlier on today. So that's going to be next week's build, if it turns up. If not, then I'll be probably doing the ANSI build, or the Space 65 build, or the Doro build. I haven't decided which yet. Or I do also have a Cypher build that I need to redo as well. So there's quite a few different bits. And I also have a POM plate build for the JO1, so I might do that. A few different options, but Borsdorf is probably going to be the board. What else have we got? It also smells very greasy, but maybe that will go away. Yeah. I usually don't like the lights on the keys, but on polycarb I love that glow. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Sleepoko is here as well. Hey, man. Shit, I missed the whole fucking stream. Oh, Captain Salty. Never mind, man. Never mind. You can always watch the VOD. Exempt style. You can join the Ask 55k beat. Maybe. I'm not sure yet. Maybe. I usually join group buys on the last day because I can never decide what I want to join and what I don't want to join. A little late. That's a mighty build, Jay. Thanks, man. Thanks, ISO. It is really. I'm really happy with this. Anyone selling Leeds meetup tickets yet? Jay, missed. Yeah, so the tickets are for sale on mechboards.co.uk. They have been sold for about 4 weeks. I don't know what the status of them is at the minute. Bledin in chat probably can tell you a little bit more than I can on the current status of them. I think there's a wait list now for people who can't make it. Yeah, if they run out, they're out. There might be a few more going up. I know there was some changes that we made to the room and things like that, so there might be some more going up. I don't know. But head on over to the MKUK Discord, because there is definitely a spreadsheet where you can put your name on there, and if someone drops out, you can grab one of the extra tickets as well. So, and if not, I'm sure someone will have a ticket for you. Bloodin, for setting up the meetup, so you're in charge of the tickets, and I'm in charge of the the venue. So Bledin is the ticket man, so reach out to Bledin. He's there, Amir Bledin. He will tell you what you need to do for tickets. Do you think the gasket works well with this board then? I know you said it was added as an afterthought and you were concerned. Yeah, I was concerned, but I think it works really well. There's a ton of flex in the board from that perspective, but not in a negative way. It's actually quite a nice amount of flexibility that's there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there is a fair amount of movement if I hold it down. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there is a fair amount of movement. It feels nice. Good amount of flex. I think it's quite nice to type on. I think it sounds great. So yeah, I think that looks good. Dixie throwing the fight jello. Nice, Dixie. Thanks very much, man. So that's it, guys. That's it for the stream. There doesn't seem to be any more questions coming out. I'll be back on Thursday with Brian doing the standard weekly news stream that we do. I'll be back a week today also doing the 2 Alps builds, the Borsdorf builds. Hopefully we'll have time from both. We'll do a brown Alps build and a salmon Alps build, as I say, both with 2 different styles of AEK caps to try and set the board off nicely. And I think that's about it. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Also, keep your eye out for some interest checks coming from me in the next couple of weeks for some stuff I've got in the pipeline as well. There might be something on Geekhack in the next day or two, and I'll leave it at that. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Go check out Geekhack in the next couple of days, see if I've posted anything interesting, and I'll see you next Thursday with Brian for the main show, and next Sunday with my next build stream. But thanks very much for joining, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend and enjoy the week at work as well, and I'll speak to you later. Cheers, guys.